This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission, September 9th, 2024. My name is Vern Carlson, and I'm the chairman of the commission. We have some items that'll be off tonight, but we'll cover that soon. Before we get into anything here, let me introduce our staff to you. It's Andy Bellavacqua as our town engineer to my extreme right. Alan Fredrickson next to him. To my extreme left is Katanya, she's our court reporter. And Christine Hilton, she's our staff secretary. With that,
Hello, I'm Ken Quick, a regular member.
Rod Williams, regular member.
Paul Wyman, Vice Chair.
Brian Cummings, Secretary.
Mark Parisi, alternate.
John Triano, alternate.
okay, with that being said, we do have a little bit of change in the agenda. But I want to go to Alan. You want to tell us what the changes are?
Sure. Item number 3 in regards to 5100 and 5110 Bridge Road is postponed until next month, which would be the 7th of October. Similarly, item number 6, P24-14 is the site plan that accompanies that. That's also postponed to next month. Item number 7, 10 Stillman Road, is postponed. They have not received a wetland approval yet, so they are postponed. And item number 8, 400 Valley Service Road, is postponed as well for
That cuts it down.
resolving a few issues that I think they can iron out for next month. So, again, 400 Valley Service Road is off, 10 Stillman Road is off, 5100 and 5110 Bridge are off.
Okay, if anybody's here for those items, we're not going to hear those tonight at all. So we're just going to continue along. We have a referral this evening, and we'll be hearing that first, and then we'll go right into the public hearing. And we have only 2 public hearings, I guess. Want to read in the call to that referral, Brian, please?
Sure, this is P24-17, application of the town of North Haven for construction of a new fire department apparatus garage at 366 Washington Avenue.
Okay. Glenn?
Thank you, Chairman.
Paul?
Appreciate it. For the record, Lynn Sadowski, Director of Public Works for the town of North Haven. Also here with the Chief, Paul Januszewski, for the fire department. And we are here for an 8-24 referral. Few years back, we applied for a STEEP grant, a 2023 Small Town Economic Assistance Program grant for some funds for a storage garage, an apparatus storage garage for the fire department up at Northeast, which is 366 Washington Avenue. We received the grant funds. We received the go-ahead. Things changed with inflation. Took us a while to sit down with the contractor, which is going to be Pat Munger Construction out of Brantford, and went through the process with them, looked at the costs, what we could afford, what we couldn't afford, and here we are today with a 3-bay storage garage behind Northeast Fire. It's next to, if you remember, the chief came in 2017 for the fire training tower, the 5-story fire training tower. So it's across from that. And it's going to have 3-bay garages, some small propane heating, some electrical, and the height is around 20 feet tall. 1 slab, 1 story. Should be easy. Contractor's ready to go, providing we give them the go-ahead. And it took us a while to figure out what costs we were going to do. And so we're here before you tonight once we finally got the final size of the system. It's a 40 by 60 foot garage, 40 feet deep, 60 feet wide.
Okay, very good, Lynn, thank you. Paul, do you have anything to add to that before in the opening
No, sir, if you look back at the original site plan we had filed back in 2017, this was always part of that vision, just taking us a while to get there. So we
Yeah.
appreciate you taking a look at this and considering it tonight.
Okay, very good, thank you. State your name, Paul.
Sure, Paul Janiszewski, Fire Chief of North Haven. Want me to spell it?
Okay, very good. Okay,
You want to spell it?
Janussz.
any questions in respect to the state 24?
Thank you.
Brian?
This is grant money?
Yes.
That's excellent, very good, thanks.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that's good.
Thanks to Lynn, it's grant money, that's correct, yeah.
Any questions, Brian?
It's a team effort.
Rod?
No questions, thanks.
So I
I have
understand,
no questions.
Okay.
the grant's from you, you're.
Yes. Our
If you could clarify.
state of Connecticut.
Okay, Len, Paul, the staff, the commission is good with that. Do you have any questions, staff? Thank you very
all.
much.
We appreciate your time, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep,
Thanks for
thank
your
you.
consideration.
Okay. Brian, would you read and call P24 13, S13S?
Sure, this is P2413S, special permit application of FFDC EJV 2-LLC, applicant Shiv LLC, owner relative to 104 Washington Avenue, map 73, lot 121, plan entitled Fine Federal Dispensary, 104 Washington Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Lark Architects LLC, dated 5/31/24, scale 1 inch equals 20 feet, CB 20 zoning district.
Okay, well, along with this, we're going to take in the site plan at the same time, which is P24-13. You want to read that in, Brian?
This is
We don't
P24.
normally do that, but I do want to do that.
Sure, this is P24-13, site plan application for FFDC EJV2 LLC, applicant Shiv LLC, owner relative to 104 Washington Avenue, map 73, lot 121, plan entitled Fine Federal Dispensary, 104 Washington Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Lark Architects dated LLC, dated 5/31/24, scale 1 inch equals 20 feet, CB 20 zoning district.
Okay, that's it. Amy?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Amy Suchins, attorney with an office at 135 Broad Street in Milford. Here representing colloquially Fine Federal Dispensary. With me tonight is Ben Zacks, who's the COO of Fine Federal. One procedural thing that I wanted to raise, and Alan and I have talked about this, is that you are proceeding under we all are proceeding under the provision of the Public Act that legalized adult use cannabis in Connecticut, and specifically the provision, section 148C of the Act, where if you don't have a regulation on file, the cannabis establishment shall be zoned as if for any other similar use other than a cannabis establishment would be zoned. And so included in the application package was a letter that I prepared with two positions that we've noted. First of all, that we think this is a ordinary retail use akin to what you classify as a drugstore, no different than a CVS or Walgreens like you have in town. And that would be allowed as a permitted use in the CB zone. And it's our understanding that at least the staff, and I believe Mr. Chairman, believe that this is probably more akin to a special permit use, akin to the alcohol regulations, retail package store provisions. However, I do think that's a determination that the commission needs to make in order to, frankly, all of us have the discussion about what the applicable standard is. Obviously, I think as you know, a site plan standard is different from a special permit standard and has different regulatory requirements, whether it's in front of you or in front of a court on an appeal, whether an approval or denial. And so because of that, I would ask that the commission make a determination about whether or not this will proceed as a site plan application or as a special permit. It's been noticed in the event that there's a special permit, again, because of the staff's interpretation and analysis. We've sent out the mailings and all the things associated with the public hearing for the special permit, including the agenda placement, have been noted. But I would like the commission to make that determination.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
We're kind of handling this like a package store, I guess.
And that would trigger the application as a special permit, and that's the question. In my letter, I did explain why we think that this is akin to a drugstore, which would not require the special permit. You know, particularly the fact that, this is a product that is kept inaccessible to the public. It's only accessible to certain employees, like you have with a pharmacy. It's limited to somebody showing identification. Somebody has to be of age in order to order the product. And so I do think that there's an analog, certainly in the context of the medical dispensaries, there's a very clear analog to a pharmacy. This is going to be an adult use only location, so I think there's a little bit of a difference, but we've certainly had situations in the state where the analog has been to a pharmacy, and that's why. So if the consensus of the commission is that we're going to proceed as a special permit, we're certainly aware that that might be the position, but I did just want to ask that the commission make a decision about how we are going to proceed.
Now? We are.
Well, I think that
Go ahead.
my comments somewhat covered that, but not specifically. I put it on as a special permit, and it seemed to be the most fitting thing for me. Certainly, I understand that Amy wanting to know if everyone shares that opinion, for sure. If this was only medicinal and it acted as something that was not recreational, I might, consider that argument myself, but seeing it's recreational or adult use, if you will, I don't really have all the exact terminology, but I don't see any question that that would be the most analogous or most proximate use, in my opinion. I certainly respect Amy's saying she wants to hear it from you folks.
And
Yeah.
sorry, just to note, so we have 9 approved locations now in the state, and of those, 5 have looked at us as analogous to retail. The other 4 had language in their regulations codifying us needing a special use permit. So just wanted to note that we've had this handled in 2 separate regards, either as most similar to retail, or the other ones which had regulations in town and noted for a special use permit requirement. And that's when we went for a special use permit.
Ben, can you just spell your last name?
Sorry.
for the record?
Yeah, sorry. My name is Benjamin Zachs, Z-A-C-H-S, and I represent FFDC EJV2 LLC, and we are based in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay, well, Alan, we're gonna proceed with this as though under the same reg as package stores, is that correct? So the commission all understands that?
Just to be clear, Amy wants to know if that's what you believe is the most proximate use. And she understands that I believe that's the most proximate use. She wants to know if the commission believes that's the case. So, but I understand how you're proceeding, and we bumped them off last month, and I think it's fairly obvious how you're proceeding, but in terms of that proximate use, I think she would like a finding from the commission that you believe that's the most proximate use.
Okay, we'll do that right now.
Yes.
Constitution.
Please.
Brian, you see it that way, it's the same?
I agree with what Alan was talking about. Talking a medical dispensary would be more sorts of pharmacy or something like that. We're talking about cannabis use. I'm looking more of a package store. That's my opinion.
Paul?
I agree with Alan and Brian that because it's adult use only, it would more like
Treat it
more
that
like a
way.
package store.
It's all treated that way. Rod?
I think I agree with that, and my reasoning that I'm thinking about a little more about this, because when you think about a CVS where the you know, the product, if you will, is locked away, the access to it is with the doctor's prescription, and that, so I think when Alan was talking about like, you know, if this were medicinal marijuana, it could be different, but because of the fact that any adult could go in there, I see a closer analog to package stores.
Ken?
My thoughts are is without the medicinal category included, I really align it more with essentially with the alcohol type of use case. If we were in a hybrid scenario, I think I'd be thinking about it a lot closer, but right now that would be the special permit use is what I'd be looking at.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's
Special permit it is.
And that's, this is exactly what I wanted to understand, because I think that, again, it sets the stage for the rest of what we need to talk about and your decision. So with that, I think what we wanted to do, the site plan itself is relatively straightforward. We're renovating an existing building that's been there for years, not making any kind of substantial changes. So we'll get into that, but what we thought would be very important would be to kind of focus on the use and what we know from our experience in the last 2 years, having, as Ben noted, the other locations approved, to just walk you through some of the things that we think are, frankly, the predominant questions that we've gotten from commissions across the state. We've worked in Manchester and Old Saybrook. I think Old Saybrook is frankly probably the closest analog to what we see, and Ben anticipates in North Haven. The also locations, we had noted in the application that Bristol and Waterbury were under construction. Bristol is now open, and that was one of the other locations. So, right, and then,
Before we get too far,
Yeah.
you have notified.
we have notified and all of the adjacent property owners. Alan reviewed the mailings and confirmed that we were
Everyone-
all set.
Everyone within 100 feet, which is
Yeah.
the requirement of the special permit.
Well, this, under what we just agreed upon, I'm not sure it's appropriate use in this particular site.
Because of the school question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
school across the street. I think, Alan, do you have a letter?
There's a letter
Yeah.
from
From
the
the
owner
school.
of
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
school, but
talking about, and the commission is
it-
concerned. Go ahead.
so I don't know that, necessarily a letter from the school is, the school is opposed to it. Amy has a copy of the letter, and
Okay.
the letter indicates that they've been there, well, we could read it, I guess.
Read it in now.
It is from Mario Landino, Paul Mitchell, the school, North Haven, director, owner. Good morning, Alan. I'm writing to you with my concern about the proposed cannabis retailer directly across from my school on 97 Washington Avenue. We operate a post-secondary trade school with 5 programs: cosmetology, aesthetics, nail art, eyelash extensions, and massage therapy. We've been in this location for the past 23 years. My concern is that the average age of my student body being 19 to 20 years old, this will cause a disturbance in our education process. Our enrollment average is about 150 to 180 students per calendar year. Our school is smoke-free and drug-free with severe penalties, including termination from the school for violators of this policy. My biggest concern being that the close proximity of the cannabis retailer will be a hindrance and disruption to the education of my student body. I strongly oppose this business operating directly across from the school. I would greatly appreciate if our concerns can and will be addressed and taken into consideration. Please respond if there's anything more you need. If I need to get a petition signed, what have you, and that did not take place. Again, signed Mario Landino, director of. So that was submitted. I believe everyone has that. including the applicant. We received 2 letters in favor, and you received those letters as well. We received a letter at the end of the day today, about 4:21, and it's opposed, and it's from Genevieve Cabrera. I don't know her address. It doesn't say. We can pass those letters around, and we just grab a couple. Anyway, the letters are part of the record except for this last one, so maybe we'll mark this Exhibit 1, the letter from Genevieve Cabrera, in opposition, without going into it.
Yeah.
Cabrera. It's Genevieve, as in Bertolini.
I have no questions.
No. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, we did review what was in Alan's memo, and we also, included in the original submission package was a distance survey prepared by K2M that indicated the distances to all of the uses in the vicinity. So I think, quite frankly, the only thing we're talking about is whether or not Paul Mitchell is a school intended to be covered by Section 8 of your, 810 of your regulations. And I think when you look at your regulations as a whole, it is not. It's the type of school that Paul Mitchell is under your zoning regulations, specifically for the CB district that we're in. Section 4.4.1.5 is vocational and technical schools. And that definition, or excuse me, that term and that use appears a couple of places in your regulations. It is called out separately from what we think of as traditional schools. And the best example of that is when you compare your residence zone in section 2.1, you specifically have schools and colleges operated by a governmental unit or nonprofit corporation, private schools, nursery schools, daycare centers for pupils below high school grades. And again, like the vocational and technical schools, that is carried out in other zones as well. So I think when you look and you turn to, most importantly, the provision on section 810, what you do when you have a situation that we're in, which is that there is no definition in your regulation for what constitutes a school. And whether it's you sitting here interpreting your regulations or a court reviewing them in the context of what a commission did, what the question is what was intended by the regulations. You look at the plain meaning of the words, you look at how the regulations use various terms throughout the regulations, And particularly in the absence of a definition, what you're supposed to do is look at the regulations as a whole. And so, as I noted, with respect to section 810, you have section 8.10.2, sub 1, which talks about proximity of the location to have a detrimental effect on any church, school, and then parentheses, public, private, or parochial, and then a variety of other uses. And then in the same section of the regs, 8.10, you have section 8.10.3, and it again has the proximity language that's at issue here. May not be within 500 feet from any premises used or reserved to be used for a college, school, church, synagogue, hospital, or library. And so when you look at the context of 810.3, you need to look at it in the context of not only 8.10.2, which specifically talks about public, private, or parochial school, and I don't think there's any question that Paul Mitchell is none of those, particularly given the context of what's in your regulations, and particularly then when you go back to section 4.1.5 and the fact that the use as a vocational and technical school is called out separately from a different use, you intend those to be different things. The fact that you have different categories for different types of schools. You also have a secretarial and business school in your in 3.2.1.4. And so when you put all of those together, when we look at the totality of your regulations, the school that you intended to protect, for lack of a better word, in 8.10.3.1 is the type of public, private, or parochial school where you would have children under 18. That's the type of school, and it's distinguished, as you know, in your regulations, it's distinguished from a college. This is not a college. It's a vocational or technical school. It's a different audience. It's a different environment. And so when we look, again, when we look at the totality of these regulations and how that's interpreted, your uses and your definitions call out vocational and technical differently than what you would typically think of as schools. So from our perspective, we disagree with Alan because the reliance on the idea that this is a school is inconsistent with the plain language of your regs.
Yeah. Well, listen, your explanation and your views are well certainly taken. However, this has been covered with town attorney. He sees it a little differently than you see it. So I mean, that's the position that I'm taking, is that what he had in our meetings, respect to this is a little different than yours and Alan's as well. So I'm certainly not convinced that you're right.
Okay. We've certainly not been advised of whatever the town attorney's opinion is, so if the commission is receiving legal advice as to the interpretation of your regulations, I certainly think it would be appropriate for us to understand what that position is in order to be able to respond to it.
Well, a couple of things, if I can put in. I never really thought about, for, I don't know, the last 15 or 18 years, that particular question, because since I arrived in this position, that's been treated as a school that requires applicants to go to the zoning board of appeals prior. So the past precedent, I don't know, we just had Bola, the restaurant, come in, and they wouldn't, because specifically of that establishment, they had to go. But that was set long before that.
I think we had a denial on the ZBA for a previous package tour.
Some, Volo was approved for a restaurant, which people have a little better luck in ZBA with a restaurant in terms of that particular battle. 2 liquor stores have been denied. One of them there in the plaza with proposed for the plaza with Stop and Shop. And the other one was up Washington Avenue, was at the former furniture store there, 356. But I mean, different school, different thing. But they've had some sympathy in terms of restaurants or something that's primary function was food and not alcohol. But I don't know, probably 6, 7 at minimum different applications. That's been past practice that they and you consider it a school. So we've just run it through. I've never really gone back and looked at the language, again. But that's what the interpretation has been. It does say college or school, and I
Good
guess it's
evening,
always
may I
been-
have your attention please?
Pardon
The
me.
North Haven Library will be closing in 30 minutes. Public computers, copiers, and Wi-Fi will be shutting down in 15 minutes. All purchases from the bookstore and cafe, along with library card applications, must be completed by 7:45. Thank you.
We're gonna hear, I think, 3 more of those, so sorry about that. That's good. They didn't have to go to ZBA for this. Anyway, that's been the past practice, that it's considered to be either a school or college meaning a school that is after high school, I guess. And yeah, the definition section, I guess, doesn't say that. If there any inquiry that comes to me, I can spot something that's there. The position I have the most trepidation about is when I tell someone it's clear, and then it's on me that there's nothing else there. And that's been difficult, over the years, but I get in the car and I drive it, and I look, but it's not just schools, it's other things too, and parks and automotive uses are very similar. But the past practice thing that Paul Mitchell was an academy at first, but it moved from State Street, and it moved over here in just about 2000. Mr. Landino says 23 years, which sounds about right. So he bought the building from Neil Longobardi, but anyway, that's been what you folks have considered it and what's been a part of the process. So if asked, I would have tried to point that out, right off the bat.
Right, I mean, I think, again, if there is legal interpretation that's been provided, I do think that, and the commission, particularly if the commission's relying on that advice, I think it would be only appropriate to share it with us in the context of understanding what the position is. If the commission is relying on a past interpretation, as Alan's noted, certainly, again, the question of what those locations are and what the proximity, I don't think that the question about the motor vehicle, because that's sort of it's a different statute, it's a different standard. I understand that there's a separation distance, but that's a little bit different. But I also think that what I heard in the discussion was there was some concern about applications that had been denied for other package stores in that vicinity. You also have a regulation that prohibits package stores within 1,500 feet of one another. So in a vacuum, I know that Alan has a wealth of knowledge. I can't sit here and respond to what he's saying because I don't know whether those applications were actually denied because they were requesting a variance on the distance from Paul Mitchell, or whether they were requesting a difference, a variance for a difference from Save Right, or I think Stop and Shop has a grocery, Stop and Shop have a grocery beer, I think. And so it's a little bit difficult for me to be able to do that if this is, and frankly goes back to why I would like to understand what the position was, because certainly, the comment in the memo. I also do think that it's relevant to note that, I did sort of laugh when I saw the letter from Mr. Landino where he's concerned about, whatever the smoke and drug-free environment and the fact that, allegedly the student body is 19 to 20 years old, when that Save Right liquor store has been there for probably as long as I've been alive, frankly, because I remember going with my grandmother. And so he chose, if the concern is that, he doesn't want to have a school, in his eyes, located next to a use that might be problematic for 19 and 20-year-olds, he'd certainly move that school, that he claims, to that location. And again, I think this goes back to the fact that, it's not an ordinary school. It's a vocational technical school. It does not meet the closest thing you get to a definition of school is what's in 2.1.15 sub A, talking about schools and colleges operated by a governmental unit or nonprofit. The reason why vocational and technical schools are treated differently is because they have a different population, they have a different environment. You have, right over here near Town Hall, you have something that's akin to job training. That's not, I think, what everybody thinks of, and certainly not what's envisioned by your regulations with respect to the types of uses that you classify as schools. And again, it goes back to, if you look at your regulations and where schools are allowed, they don't always align with where vocational, technical, secretarial schools are allowed. And so I do think without a better understanding of what the commission is relying on, I certainly don't know that the commission has all the information before it to evaluate my argument with respect to whether you have historically treated these types of schools differently from something like a traditional public school or some of the ACES locations that are in town, even frankly Quinnipiac now in the more recent years. So I do think that having that information would be important to be able to evaluate my argument and our position about the fact that this is, frankly, a very different use.
Well, I understand that. But for me, I'm gonna act upon this as the advice that I got from town attorney. So it's just very different than you're looking at it. So,
And just to be clear, there's no written opinion from town council about this. There was a meeting that took place with the chairman to get the parameters as to what we were dealing with. We got him a copy of your application, and we got it to him and said, is she right? Is this to be treated like the most proximate use? And you say, yeah, I think she is. So from there, something evolved into what this group, we haven't heard from everyone, but in terms of what we wanted to do, but there's no legal opinion other than one conversation that I was aware of that took place to get the basic permitting parameters verified, if you will. So, and there wasn't a lengthy discussion about any definitions. It was, this is what we have, this is what has been done in the past. So just sort of nodded and looked through, but there wasn't anything detailed about the legal position or the exact wording of the definition. It was a school. The commission sees, it's kind of interesting because one would have to go, an applicant would have to go ZBA prior to getting here in order to be qualified to come into P&Z for a site plan or what have you. If there was, I don't know what I'll call a defect on the books in terms of the application, if there was a criteria that wasn't being met. So these guys see it after that has taken place. typically. But, they are the arbiters, in the end as to what would be required, what wouldn't be required. But typically, all of that has been already acted on by the time you would see it. And, between Quinnipiac University, yes, they have interjected into the equation on Upper Route 5 for liquor permits. Certainly, this school has been highly involved, and the package stores are another thing that's, I understand what you're saying, Amy, about the 1,500 feet. That is a different variance, so that's sortable in terms of determining which one it was. But yes, this has been an issue. The 1,500 feet is a huge issue, and we've had a couple people try to vary that. That's not what we're talking about here, but that has been an issue in some other instances. But the 500 feet is an issue often for these types of uses.
So one clarification, just so, again, I'm clear. If there's been no written communication from the town attorney, and that was conveyed to the chairman and you in a telephone conversation, is it fair to say that has not been communicated to the rest of the commission?
It has been. It has been.
We just opened the public hearing, we have what we have,
Right, so I guess my question is was the commission aware before tonight that that was the town attorney's position?
I'm not sure, there's nothing in writing. I think it was gonna be brought before the commission.
I didn't see anything in writing, no, myself.
I haven't seen anything.
There's nothing in writing.
Correct.
But if
I'm
we brought-
not asking whether anything was in writing. I'm asking
Were you aware of
if
that?
the commission was told about the town attorney's advice before
The rest of
tonight.
the commission? Yes.
I don't believe I specifically was, no.
Okay.
Did I tell you about this, Brian, before you got here tonight?
I don't remember if you did or not, I don't.
And I don't mean to interrupt something that's
Well, go ahead.
useful,
Go ahead.
but the application was made, and this was discovered after the application was made. Ordinarily, if an applicant came to me in a pre-application meeting, I would not permit it to go forward. Because of your particular situation and also the unusual nature of the statute, I thought it should come forward and the commission should look at the information and act on it. To a large extent, I didn't want to be, I presented what I believe to be the facts, but I didn't want to be the one to say, no, you can't get to the commission with this. Okay, you're at the commission and you can make your case. Ordinarily, I would take it out before it could get here if I had the option.
Right. Okay. So back to my question about what was communicated about the town attorney.
I thought the commission was all aware of this.
I had no awareness the town attorney had been committed or consulted, so.
I'm not as well.
I had a conversation with the chairman about the school across the street, and I know that he had some meetings with other people, but as far as anything in writing, anything like that, I don't remember. But it seemed to make sense because in past applications, we always call that a school, and we've denied some applications because of that. So that's, makes sense to me. Unless you could show us something else or that.
I would mention that even though I was not aware, I am still aligned with our position as is.
What was that?
I said even though I was not made aware, I'm still in alignment with our current position.
I think if you look at some members of this board, we're all pretty long in tooth, and we've always referred to that as a school. And it's always been a school. I worked with somebody who went there, but I don't think I was reimbursed for their tuition, but they referred to it as, I'm going to school now, I'm leaving work to go to school. And so it's, over the years, it's always been a school to me.
So, to the point about additional information, this was conveyed to us in a staff memo on Friday. Certainly, Alan and I had conversations about procedure and the application.
Good evening. The North Haven Library will be closing in 15 minutes. Please begin to make your final selections for checkout at this time. Thank you.
More after this?
Probably one more right before close.
Get out.
So to the extent that there's a question, Alan can attest, I was in town hall this morning trying to look at some files based on the information we received on Friday. So, and certainly some of the information about the conversation with the town attorney is new information to me, as is some of these other applications for which we haven't discussed addresses or what the nature of the applications were. So I think that's the challenge that I have. I certainly understand, what the commission believes its position to be, but obviously with the challenge of having heard about this on Friday and not knowing some of the locations on applications that may have been denied. It's one thing to look at what's been approved and in town and how things may have been interpreted, but to know where something didn't happen is a lot harder to analyze. So if we could I have, before the commission, if I could have just a couple of minutes to talk to my client. I think there are some things that I'd like to, my inclination is that I would like some additional time so I can respond to these, but we can just have a minute.
Take
the
a
time that you need.
break? You want to take a break first?
We can take a break. Take a break, 10 minutes break.
Or if you have something, if you just want to,
We can move on.
I don't know if you have anything in between.
Yeah, we can move on to
I
something
bet
else.
there's a couple people under other who would love to.
I was going to say, and I was going to say, I also might care about the next public hearing, so.
No, we're not going to start that one.
No.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to another application, just stall the street off. Okay.
Would you like to call 45 Quinnipiac Avenue under other?
Yes, sir. If they're here.
He is.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't
That's
think
the
that.
grant.
Yes, sir.
How you guys doing? My name's Robert Amato. I'm here on behalf of 45 Quinnipiac Avenue, and just trying to make a non-conforming building conforming with an ADA ramp. We went to the zoning appeals, it was approved, so, here before you guys.
We got to put a handicap on,
Putting a handicap ramp in the back of the building at 45 Quinnipiac Avenue to access the new salon that'll be going in.
yep,
The salon's
I'm
there.
familiar with that,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a salon there now, well, there was. We did a change of use just to make it another salon, and because of the new code, we need ADA access into the building.
Yep, okay. Okay, sure. Ken, you got any questions?
I do not have any questions.
Rod?
No, I've reviewed the documents, I don't have any questions.
I do, Robert, just one question about whether they'll have access to other locations.
So it's only gonna access
Access to beauty parlor.
just the beauty parlor. There is an ADA ramp on the other side of the building that accesses everything else other than the beauty
Where
parlor.
the restaurant used to be.
The restaurant, the ice cream shop that's going in there, I think is a dance studio. We just happen to have 4 steps coming down on the front of that building that really jam that space up.
Okay. Good.
Brian?
I'm all set. Thank you.
And just to understand, so again, he didn't obtain a variance, he obtained an approval to enlarge a non-conforming building. From way back when, there was a non-conforming house, they added the shopping center to the house. He's in the portion that was in the old house. The rest of it has handicap accessibility, but this is one level that's in there that did not. And building flagged it and said, you've got to do the ramp. They're willing to do the ramp. The owner has offered also to
Pay for it.
pay for it, but Robert is stuck with the approval process, and here we are.
Right, so
The ramp would be conforming.
Right,
The
that's
building
my thought.
itself, the
Yes.
existing building was not.
Correct.
Yeah, the ramp will be conforming. You're not expanding a pond in non-conforming use.
No, it'll just making it conforming.
That's it? Any questions?
I do not have any questions.
Anybody? Okay, Robert, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
We've got another item under other,
Well, I know what you're saying. I'm just talking about, yeah, I'm just talking about mention of the, we had no,
they're on the way. But do we have anyone here for the change of use? Is it possible that we have one change of use for 101 Quinnipiac Avenue? Do you want to hear that, Mr. Chairman?
yes,
Okay.
change of use.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm sure you're happy over that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yes. So I wanna, I'm putting,
If you give your name and spell it, that'd be
oh,
great.
Guillermo, Guillermo. Last name is Araujo.
That's right.
So it's, I'm putting a real estate office.
I'm sorry.
I'm putting a real estate office. That's it.
Okay, you should put that office.
That's it.
Any question? Right.
No questions, thank you.
No question.
And it's a veterinary hospital going to a real estate office?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
So I have a
That's next door.
Mark? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. You did it.
I have a couple of questions. Now, you have no outdoor storage, correct, proposed?
No, nothing.
No vehicles, you park, but you don't store, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're not doing anything to the exterior, you can do something to the exterior of the building, but not the parking lot, no site work is proposed, anything
Oh,
like that?
yeah,
They
just
painted
the
it.
sign, just, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
No problem, sir. That's it? Good, thank you, sir. Yep.
Okay, and that's good. The extension, don't need the extension, but
We're
We can
waiting,
get
I have a question for you.
if you want to
Do you
present,
want to consider 3 powdered metal drive at this point? And
we can do that if you want. He's here, isn't he?
if you'd like to do that?
Sure, why don't you step forward? We'll do that. The site plan. Joe?
May I?
Yes.
Wonderful. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking us out of order. Fingers crossed we should be quick. My name is Joe Porto. I practice law with Brett Porto. Our office is located in Hamden. I am, however, a resident of North Haven. Appearing before you with regard to the application for Joe Ercolano for 3 powdered metal drive. Quick housekeeping, zone is IG 80, site is approximately 1.98 acres in size. It is an improved with an existing building. The use that's there now, I believe, they refurbish batteries, large batteries. They are relocating out of state and the property is available to be purchased by Mr. Ercolano. His business is a business that involves smoke damage, water damage, fire damage, and potentially mold damage. They go in, they gut the damage, and they pull all that material out, and then those properties can be rehabilitated. The ask in this instance is for outdoor storage, a comment that Mr. Frederickson just brought up for the last applicant. So there is proposed outdoor storage here. Marcus from Godfrey Hawthorne will go over this with you quickly. The outdoor storage is all behind the building. What is proposed for outdoor storage is approximately 5 dumpsters.
Good evening. The North Haven Library will be closing in 5 minutes. Please bring all items to check out at this time. Thank you.
The dumpsters are empty. They keep them there because if they need to respond to a site where there was damage, then the containers are filled and they're brought to wherever those containers are brought to be disposed of appropriately. And then if they are returned, they're returned empty. So there's no storage of dumpsters with any type of debris in it, which I think would alleviate any concerns with regard to leakage or any other type of potential contaminants flowing from the containers onto the ground. There will also be some parking of cars that are used, vehicles that are used to respond to losses, fire, water, smoke, that may stay there overnight. They are part of Mr. Ercolano's business. They all operate. None of them are inoperable. They all drive, all registered, all road ready. And there's no changes proposed to the building. The building will be split, not necessarily 50-50. There will be some office space for the business, and there'll be warehouse space for the business. And that's really the application. Again, the application really turns on the ask for outdoor storage, but for that, it would likely just simply be a change of use. And do you want to run through the site plan quickly?
Sure. Good evening, my name is Marcus Puttock, P-U-T-T-O-C-K. Yeah, no problem. I work for Godfrey Hoffman Hodge at 26 Broadway. You should all have the site plan. The outdoor storage is shown as the hatched area in the rear. To accomplish some of the additional outdoor storage, there is some proposed pavement to be added and some calculations on the plan for stormwater mitigation for that additional pavement that's being added to the site. As is practice, we've shown the sidewalk in front of the site that does not exist along Powder Meadow Road Drive now. We are asking that you waive that requirement. We have added a few trees to some of the parking in the front, as is required at the end of rows. We reviewed the comments from the town engineer and and the planner, and we're pretty well agreeable to all of those comments. That's really, it's fairly simple site plan. I'm happy to answer any questions if you've got any.
Yeah. How much is outside storage now?
There is no defined approved outside storage as of right now. So we're asking for this entire area in the rear be approved as that on the site plan for this use. There is none that is approved on the site plan as of now.
And the area would be fenced in?
It is fenced, yes.
It would remain fenced in.
Yes.
Andy, you looked at the dry wells?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the sizing.
Okay, now, anything that you're putting in these dumpsters, is that gonna have any spillage that's gonna need any type of burn, any type of?
The dumpsters are always empty here on site.
Okay.
So
And
the
there's
filling
gonna
of
be-
them happens
You said
elsewhere.
there's gonna be 5 in the back?
There would be, yes, I would imagine, I'm not imagining anything. I spoke with Mr. Ercolano 5 would be what we estimate.
And what size?
I don't know.
I believe they're 30-yard dumpsters.
30-yard dumpsters.
All right. Okay.
Mark, is that the big dumpster? Like-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marcus, you've read Alan and Andy's comments and you're agreeing with
Yes,
them?
yeah, we made the comments and yes, we will provide those.
Thank you.
How do you access the back area? Is it along the left side there of that drawing? Oh, that side. Okay.
Along the right side.
Right side. Okay.
Ask, in regards to the dumpsters, you'll need a truck to service the dumpsters. Will that be stored there as well? Or is there an outside service that's going to come in and move them?
No, I don't believe there's an outside service. I believe he has the ability to move the dumpsters on his own. Yes.
Where will the vehicle be stored for that? Will that be one of the outside vehicle storage?
Most likely it'll be inside the building.
You have to come up and give your name for the record.
I'm sorry, Vinny Ferrucci, I'm Joe's Realtor with Advised Realty Services. I believe the truck will be stored inside overnight.
They will be?
That truck that he uses to transport the dumpsters will be stored in the warehouse.
Okay. Is that area paved or not paved? Is that impervious soil or not?
The majority of the rear yard is paved. The additional hatched area that's gray is new pavement.
Just those 2 areas then are going to be
Yeah,
added.
the
Proposed.
The 2 new paved areas
Proposed, correct.
are shown in gray.
Is the tenant using the whole building or will it be divided? You know?
The tenant, Mr. Urcolano's business will consume the totality of the space divided between warehouse and office, yes.
Will there be sufficient parking for employees that are coming in, taking the trucks and going elsewhere?
More than sufficient parking. Yes. Most of the people that work there drive their own vehicles to the losses, but some will take a company vehicle, and there's no retail aspect to this. So there's no consumer, public presence, if you will, coming to this site.
I have a question for the engineer. So one of the notes states that you wanted a note indicating that a mature maple tree in the westernmost island will remain. The triangle that's shaded in there, I noticed from looking at an overhead view, is a lot of trees also. Are there any special trees back there that you identified, or are you? I guess I want to understand the maple tree note a little bit more.
In the front of the building, generally when we have an existing property that has an existing building on it and an existing parking lot, the commission has tried to get aesthetic improvements, plantings that would be up front and would be more windshield friendly, if you will, something that's visible from the street and from the very front, especially in an IG zone. So I was more focused on the front of the property. There are 2 islands that are proposed to have new trees. When I went out there, I saw that there was a mature, way mature, I don't know, 16-inch, 20-inch maple tree. So, well, my comment is, please keep that tree. They said, yeah, Joe had mentioned earlier, yeah, okay, no sweat. And if they can provide a tree on the east end, which they're agreeable to, that's fine. What I saw in the back was scrub, and it looked like it was in large part invasives. I was wondering if it was bamboo. I don't believe it is not. It is bamboo. I don't believe it is.
I'm not aware that
But-
it is, but, yeah.
But there was a lot of scrub and a lot of brush. It didn't seem like there were maybe some sumac, a tree weed, you know, and it didn't look like anything that needed to be kept to me.
All right.
Alan, you made a comment about the waiver for the sidewalks. I didn't see any sidewalks here. You haven't proposed any?
Yeah, they're shown on the
They're
plan.
on.
Yeah, I proposed them on the plan.
They want the waiver.
Oh.
Yes, and request.
You want?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I thought that what we had done with Barnick at the end of the street and also with Dan Coughlin in the next 2 properties was waived.
Okay.
The sidewalk, so
Okay. Oh, here it is. See it on the
You wanna leave the sidewalks now. Ken?
I guess my main question with the expanded amount of pavement in the back, we have, talking about 5 dumpsters right now. Would it, is this space able to accommodate many more where there's a potential increased, moving to 10 dumpsters that we'd want, we want to keep this a more limited outdoor storage. Is there any discussions about, having further storage that's unaccounted for?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
No. Okay.
Taylor, I guess the way the business, and Vinnie can, verify this or not, was my understanding. I've been dealing with Ercolanos for several years now. They've been looking for an industrial building for their operation in North Haven. We've run out so many dead ends with it, but they found this, and my understanding of their operation is it's like ProServe. It's cleaning up as they described. The dumpsters sit there empty, and the dumpsters are taken to a site. They are removed from the site and brought wherever the dumpster company dumps them, and they're brought back to this particular business empty. So that seems like the best of both worlds for the town of North Haven. So they just keep the empty dumpsters there and, not much risk there. It would depend a lot on the size of the dumpster. Given the nature of the business, they're not doing, 5-yard dumpsters like you find, or 2-yard or whatever you find behind an office building. They don't provide dumpsters. It put damaged material in a massive dumpster as big as they can go. They go 30 yards, okay. They bring it out to the site, they fill it, it comes back empty. That's the nature of the business. I don't know how many, if Marcus did a layout, I don't know how many 30-yard dumpsters he could come up with, but it didn't.
Not that many.
That's it. I just don't want a parking lot of 20 dumpsters back there because it's a large space. I haven't calculated it, it's nice to know what the plans are.
I have something else I want to ask. So it looks to me like the part that's going to be used now, it looks like a triangle, that there's curbing along the whole edge of that, right? If there were some sort of leakage from one of these dumpsters, it seems to me that that curbing would keep it from moving off the property. Is that a fair statement?
Yes,
okay.
that is a fair statement.
Thanks.
Yeah. One more question. If it says ADA ramp, so is there currently ramps coming into the building?
I don't know the answer to that.
It's a flat surface. Yeah, the ADA ramps are for the sidewalk itself.
Right.
At the end of the
I know, but
driveway.
the existing building, is it currently accessible?
I believe it's flat, so it would be currently
Okay.
accessible.
Okay.
I think the entry door is on grade.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
Okay. But they could get in, it's ADA compliant, right?
it has to be.
Yeah.
As far as me, Lisa.
Just something we always run into, just the quantity of the dumpsters. Do we want to agree on a number that would be a maximum that, should this be approved, would appear in the application?
So as a condition of approval,
Yes.
can we agree on no more than 7?
I thought you said 5.
I did, but we're...
No, let's stick with the 5.
Okay.
No, I just, if zoning enforcement goes out, I'd like not to have a bad day. I mean, if you need more and you got the space for it.
I enjoy calls from Laura, but not when they deal with my clients, so yes, understood.
So you're gonna stick with 5?
We'll stick with 5.
Okay. Made life a little easier. Okay. Anything else, Mark? John? Okay.
I have no more questions.
Thanks.
Alan?
Nothing more.
Andy?
All set, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you for taking us out of order. Much appreciated. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, thank you. We got one more to go, and Alan, you can do the, you can.
Yeah, 117 Washington Avenue, I scanned the crowd and I see some participants there.
Thank you.
I suspect you'll be brief.
Thank you, first of all, for meeting with us tonight. We appreciate it. You need your back? So, you guys want me to talk in?
Yes, you can just give her your name. And,
Sure. Sure, I'm Raymond Sirocco. I'm a partner in 117 Washington Avenue Bolo Restaurant. This is Vinny. Vinny Buecchio. I'm one partner. Buecchio. Buecchio. B-A-R-E-C-C-H-I-A.
Thank you very much.
It's a little hard. Again, I thank you all for being here tonight and honoring our request. But our request is to add 5 tables to the exterior of the building for outdoor eating. And we're proposing 5 tables with bollards to protect the area. I didn't put it on our sketch, but I do have something that kind of tells us 4 feet apart with the bollards. If I can bring it, come forward.
Yep.
It's just the written out sketch showing you the 4 feet.
That's it right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Our request gives adequate walkway. There's 14 feet from the end of the curb where the bollards would be to the front of the storefront. So our request is simple, and we'd love nothing more than to have these 5 seats.
Any questions?
I have no questions, huh?
No questions, thanks.
No questions.
No questions.
I have a question, just so I see the sketch. This is great. So you're talking about steel bollards that are concrete filled?
That's
Okay.
correct. They would be into the ground, I think, 1.5 feet, I believe.
Okay. And how many of them just across wherever the front of the tables are?
There will be 8. There will be 8 of them.
Okay, and there's gonna be enough room on the walkway to be able to get by?
That's
So
correct.
people don't have to go out into
No,
the
yeah,
parking
that's
lot or
correct.
anything?
Yes.
Okay. Any more questions? Any there? Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy?
I guess he needs a break. Were those raised?
Might have been.
We're gonna take a break for a second anyway until the chair's back, so.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll-
Hope he's not
I was
driving.
gonna say, I'm hoping you're running out to the parking lot.
Thank you. I have a key.
Knock him down?
Find him?
Yeah.
Oh, they were yours.
I gave him the other guy. Thank you. They seem very grateful.
I would be too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
We're back.
I'm back, you're back, thank you.
Yes, and everybody has their glasses.
Okay, we are back in session with,
Fine, done. So, Mr. Chairman, I think given what we heard, what I would like to ask is for us to be continued to the October meeting. I'd like to understand particularly the locations that the town planner has highlighted and to understand what the, sort of what the commission is relying on in order to be able to, provide some context for why I think my interpretation of the regulations is correct. So we're happy to come back to that, to the October meeting. The only other request I have is our team is here. If there were questions about the application other than the school, we'd be happy to answer those, or proximity to the school issue. Happy to have our team answer any of those. I know there were comments from the town engineer that we received on Friday, some of Alan's other comments. We're prepared to address all of those, but at the outset, I think that if the issue is that you want to hear, and we want to understand the question about the proximity, we could do that at the next meeting, but if there are other questions, we're happy to answer them.
Do you want to continue your presentation or not?
Yes, to the next meeting.
Okay. You don't want to withdraw?
No,
You sure?
100%.
Okay.
So
John?
it's up to you if there are other questions that anybody has about
No.
the site plan or
We're going to continue with your application. Go ahead.
to the next meeting. To the
I
next
guess
meeting.
the only, maybe, what were some of the notes or any of the comments that were provided on Friday?
Well, Andy has 16 engineering comments. My comments were somewhat in reference to the overall position of the commission, and then somewhat, I've got A through I in terms of the site plan. Just to be clear, what Amy's saying is she wants to continue to the next meeting, not continue right now. So,
Correct.
I know, exactly.
yeah. Okay.
Yes, to the next
So-
meeting. But what I'm saying is we have our team here. If there were any other questions,
I know.
knowing that we're continuing, whether they were about either Alan's comments, we had no comments from fire and police, so I think that takes those off the table. But with respect to sort of technically planning or engineering comments, if there were questions or other things, all of them, particularly all of the engineering comments, I anticipate we can address all of those. Nothing was problematic there, and I think there were, with respect to Alan's comments on A through I think the only one that was noted was 1F, about reestablishing the required 15-foot buffer at the rear of the property. The site's currently non-conforming. We're not proposing to change the buffer that's there. It's about 19 feet or so, 18 or 19 feet based on a approximate measurement, so we're not proposing to change that. We're not making it smaller, but we're also not proposing to make it larger. And that's how I read that subsection of the regulations, that given that the property line, or excuse me, the zone line splits the property here, we're allowed to use a certain portion of that, and that's in fact why the site is developed the way, it's my understanding, that's what is the way the site is developed, so we're not proposing to change that. And then I think the only other comment was about the Alan's comment number 3. We're happy to talk about our experience in other locations with parking, or if it turns out, if we were in fact to actually open the facility, that our experience with being able to accommodate either off-site employee shuttling, or what our experience is in sort of anticipated parking demand, as is our traffic engineer, Dave Sullivan, is here, and Ben can obviously speak to that.
Yeah, this is not my first zoning meeting, but we've had significant questions at previous zoning meetings regarding the way in which we operate, the number of employees that we have, how people can come into the building, how product is stored and comes into the building, and deliveries, which impacts traffic, or doesn't really impact traffic because of the number. Additionally, to be very clear of the illegality of any consumption even opening of product to look at Insight on the premises anywhere in town, actually, that's in any public place or private parking lot outside of somebody's own personal residence. So those have been very consistent questions that we've gotten to understand the way that the traffic study and the impact of things works when we're actually open and operating the facility, which we've now done in 7 locations in Connecticut and other states and such. So if there were any questions or comments or understanding there, I'm here, so happy to be a part of it.
Excuse me, Amy, do you have any list your team wants to present tonight, or?
I mean, I think we can affirmatively do that. I think what our intention was given the, relatively straightforward comments, most of the engineering comments were just asking for additional details or something else. I'm happy to have Sheldon Crosby, who's our architect, he can come up and sort of walk you through the site plan.
We're going to take a break before too long, and if you want to bring them forward.
Sure.
So we heard it. You want to hear them?
Yeah, absolutely. Sheldon?
Paul? Ryan? You want to hear the rest of the presentation?
Sure, I mean, it's not going to change between now and next month. We can do that. If it's going to change.
That won't change.
It's not going to change now in the next 5 minutes. Can everybody see this? I know you all can't. Apologize for that.
You can use that easel too, maybe.
Right.
Yes. I'm going to take that one.
There's an easel, aim.
Well, then that way
Oh.
can see.
Are those the same?
No, that's
Oh, that's floor plan.
The site plan we have presented is essentially the plan that's in place now for Washington Street. There is a generous area off Washington Avenue in front of the building. There are 2 doors now on the facade. If you've driven by there, you know that they're still there. And what we're trying to do is create a loop all the way around the building. Our service at the rear and general dumpster location as well. This area in front is for what we would call double loading of the parking. It's very generous. Normally you would expect around 24 feet between parking places here and parking here. This is almost 40 feet. So we think it's pretty safe for people pulling in, backing out, swinging around and coming out. Or they can come all the way around. It's the safest we can make it for slow drivers, which is what we hope we have. Moving to the inside, right in front we have parking for the disabled. We're very keen on making sure the disabled can come to the site and move all the way through the building as freely as possible. Switchboards. I don't know if all of you can see what it looks like as far as we can even. So the bottom of the drawing are the 2 is the entry, probably this side here. We come into our customer check-in. This is a really critical area for us. It's where all of the customers or potential customers are vetted. We check their license, we check their name, and make sure that in many cases they have an appointment.
Correct. So just to note, no person under 21 is allowed to enter the facility whatsoever. So their ID is checked outside of the building via an intercom, or sometimes we put a greeter type employee outside who checks to confirm that somebody is 21, that they have a real ID, etc. They then go in, so once they're confirmed that they are above 21 with legal government issued ID with a photograph, they're allowed to go into the customer check-in area. At that location, we then check their ID again to confirm it, and that point their ID is scanned into the state, into both our system as well as that they're coming into the state. Due to civil liberties laws, we're not allowed to keep or track any person's data, so if somebody comes into the facility, their data is then removed outside of it's removed outside of us unless they've given express checked off written consent to join our loyalty or marketing program. Once they are confirmed 21 again, they go into the customer ingress from the waiting area into the sales floor. At the sales floor, there's two means of getting an order. One is, and generally we see about 60 to 65% of our orders being a pre-order, either made via email, our online menu, or via phone. And then they, if it's a pre-order, they go to one side, and then we keep their pre-ordered product in the back of the house in a stapled bag. They come in, they're checked in, we know that they come in. We then confirm it's them again at the register. We hand them their bag, we confirm that what they ordered is what they wanted. Bag, receipt gets stapled, they pay, and they leave. If you are ordering, if you have not placed a pre-order online or via whatever means, you come in, you say what you would want to order. The product then is picked out of the vault, which is in the top left. The vault is a Schedule 3 DEA rated vault, the same vaults that would be in a pharmacy, vaults that are more significantly secure than a bank vault actually. And the product in Connecticut must stay in there at all times until it's there. So the product is there, it is checked in, the person puts in the order, it gets sent back. We never leave the person unattended at the register. And then the order is picked, brought out, shown to them, in the bag, sent and gone. And that's the way the customer goes. On online orders, our average time in store is it's 2 minutes and 52 seconds. And then in a walk-in order, it's about 4.5 minutes. That one's a little harder to track. So that's the customer experience. So again, no one under the age of 21 is allowed into the facility. Their ID is checked 3 times. We confirm that their order is what they wanted, or we do it at the register, and then they leave. And that's it. On the flip side, everyone always asks about inventory, right? Where's the product? So the product is all state tracked in a seed to sale tracking system that is consistently and actively monitored within the state. We receive orders about 8 to 10 times a week. So so those orders come in from on a random route from one of the licensed cultivators across the state of Connecticut. All of their product is tracked from the time they plant the seed until it is turned into a final product, and then it is manifested to us. So only the product that would be meant to go to this license would come into this facility. They park in the back in this loading right here. They park in the back, which is directly next to the entrance of, which is a secure man trap entrance, which was listed out and sent to the chief of police and whomever else in the security plan. And from there, we then confirm that what was supposed to be purchased and manifested to us is actually done. So we bring it into the facility, we count it. It's signed by 2 people on our team. It's also signed by the one delivery guy, while the other driver at 100% of the time stays in the vehicle to ensure that the vehicle is there. And then all that product is barcoded at each unit so that we're tracking every single unit of every single batch that comes into our facility and goes directly into the vault and onto our, into our inventory and point of sale. Every product is tracked. We actually had 3 random inspections by the Department of Consumer Protection today. Just happened to be the case in our facilities across the state, but they're constant weekly audits of our product so that it tracks what's physically in the vault, what's in our point of sale system, and then what's sent to the seed to sale tracking system that's been implemented by the Department of Consumer Protection. And then what was the other? There's one other piece that I forgot to add with it. But the other piece is security. So our facility is under 365-degree camera access both inside and outside, including in the parking lot. No loitering is allowed, no opening of product, no consumption of product. There's actually and we're also not allowed to have any alcohol or even tobacco, like vape nicotine products in our parking lot or in our facility because you can't assess what is what based on the cameras. Everything that's done inside, except for the bathrooms and the break room, due to civil liberties laws, obviously, are under camera. We keep our camera footage for 90 days that we must compliantly by DCP. So we keep it to 90 days of camera footage that can always be looked back and tracked. Additionally, we also have an alarm system, a backup alarm system, and then a third and separate alarm system for the vault. So the vault gets done at the end of the night at every night. Every single employee also has a different level of access of who's allowed where in the facility. So we have employees who can't actually go in the vault. We only have certain employees who can open and close the building and arm and disarm the building every night and every morning. And then we have a direct access from our alarm system and fire system into the fire department, as well as the police department. And this has been active in every town that we've done. One thing that we've been really proud of is we've had no theft or burglary in any of our facilities. We've had no issues of any missing or discrepancies on product. And I've had a clean compliance record for our 5 years in the state. We're based out of Hartford. Our first 3 stores were medical stores. We then, through RRACA, the Recreational Cannabis Act, were able to receive these other licenses. This license is what's known as an equity joint venture. So it's a partnership between us and our social equity partners. And then the last piece of that is that 3% of all tax revenue does go back to the town per the law. And then if there were any concerns from local law enforcement or the town, there's up to $50,000 of reimbursable costs based on any need to sort of look at the facility up front, put in traffic detail on the first day, and luckily through seven locations, we've actually had to use none of that, and so we've had no increased traffic. We've had no increased need of police detail or anything of the sort within our operating over the last 5.5 years, and then now 18 months of adult use. So okay, that's how we run, and that's how we react. The one thing is, this building does have currently, I think, a drive-through, and we don't use the drive-through, so we have taken that use out of our plans within the facility, and any window or anything would be covered up. The last piece, just with the facility in general, is there is no, all glass that there could be in windows are 100% opaque. So there is no view into the facility from the public whatsoever. And then we do not and are not allowed to put up any sort of green X's or cannabis paraphernalia or logos or anything of the sort. I don't know if you have in your times or in your research or whatever have been to any other facilities, but it's generally one standalone sign, and in this location as an adult use, as a proposed adult use establishment, we actually can't even use the word dispensary, because in Connecticut the word dispensary refers to a location that's just medical or medical and recreational in one. So our proposed sign would only say Fine Fettle and not reference anything in terms of cannabis, in terms of a cannabis sales occurring within the establishment. So.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Will they say fine something?
Fine Fettle, F-E-T-T-L-E. That's our DBA name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, I don't speak perfectly for stenographers. I know that, so I apologize. Yeah, a little quick.
So if I can comment on something that, maybe a communication issue or what have you, but
sure.
Relative to the site plan comments, just in terms of context, Andy and I have commented, as we ordinarily would, on behalf of the commission to bring the property into compliance. I would say this, a quick drive-through, really, there was a lot of evidence that it's not in compliance at this time. So, as far as bringing it back into conformance with the approved site plan, which was P9916 for the cleaners, I take exception, there is no drive-through.
Oh, I didn't know this was
Okay.
seriously how that's done. All right.
There may be a drive-through, there's no drive-through
All right,
that's
so-
approved, because I got yelled at for quite some time by the former owner about the fact that they were not allowed to have one, and that was
good to know.
before my
All right,
time.
well.
So there's that. The other,
Thank you.
The other,
Yeah.
but it's neither here nor there.
Sure, no, I appreciate that.
You're not gonna stay with it anyway.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, relative to the buffer in the back, I understand what you're referring to, Amy, about the special permit.
Yep.
But there's a required buffer from the residential zone in the commercial zone, which is 15 feet. This buffer is shown on this buffer is shown on the drawings for P9916, and it was, in fact, at one time, in place, in a smaller scale. I think it was planted, and then over time, I think those trees were removed. So I would go back and say, also the trees at the ends of rows of parking, they had mature trees that had been removed. So I'm not trying to say that I would contest their arborist's decision on the trees, but I'm saying, okay, you take the tree down, you put another tree up. So we do have language under our site plan to say it's in perpetuity, and what we're looking for is to bring the property back into compliance. The spaces that you show against, head in, the handicap spaces, are not there on the approved site plan. I think part of Andy's concerns in terms of turning radiuses, you have two issues. If you put the spaces there, you need the islands at either end of the rows. Those are new spaces. Those spaces weren't there in '99. So most of our comments involve bringing the property up to what I'll say code or up to compliance. This is their only shot. This is pretty typical. 1999, next shot in is 2024. Okay, here we sit. This is their only shot to get something back into compliance, other than to cite them from the ZEO and say, look, you're an existing business. We notice your landscaping has deteriorated, disintegrated, but partly been removed. We're going to cite you for this. That's not really the preferred, position that the town takes. But when you're a new business and you're coming in, we really want you to comply to the greatest extent possible. The prior applicant that you missed in your conferencing is being hit for trees that are not in compliance and such, and try to, on their one shot, that's an even greater span down on powdered metal in terms of the time frame. But, so in terms of context, that's what we're looking for on this. And you had mentioned, and I apologize for not, calling you by name, but the service area or the delivery area, is required for any retail installation. That's spelled out in the regs, and Andy's just looking for he's an engineer. He's looking for an exact turning radius that shows that it works. Sure. Because he does that for them. So anyway,
And
just by way of explanation.
Yeah, and a detailed site plan is based on a survey. I mean, this obviously is not. So I guess we're just looking for a lot higher level of detail in terms of the
Yeah,
site plan.
absolutely. And I think when we got the comments, and what I was alluding to before was that they're all straightforward and reasonable, as the two of you I've always found you to be, and we have some work to do. Nothing seemed problematic as far as being able to address, okay, we need trees, and I think, given the track record that Fine Fettle has, if you wanted to talk to any of the other staff in the towns, I think we have tried to really be a good corporate citizen and address. We're actually in the process of finishing some landscaping in Old Saybrook and things
Done.
like that done. So we're certainly understand these comments and would expect, particularly given the continuance tonight, I had a feeling we were likely going to need to continue to be able to respond to all of these. but certainly something we can address.
Yeah, and assuming you guys get that far, I'm happy to sit down with you and go through the details and, you know, have a series of meetings if we need to, just so we can get on the same page.
Thank you.
But I do take note of the fact that you referred to the two of us as being reasonable, and I plan to mention that to my wife this evening.
She won't be at home, she won't believe it.
In terms of loading, though, you did refer to it as retail. No, I'm just seriously.
I have a clarifying question. So the loop drive thing, is that for their, if I understand correctly, there are 4 parking spaces like halfway up, and then you go back around if you're using those spots, but otherwise the delivery person uses that too, but that's kind of what that's for, right? There's no other.
So the delivery person, in looking at that plan, comes close to the very close to the building. We try and design our facility so the trunk door of where the producers, cultivators, manufacturers in the state come to opens up as close as we possibly can to our secure delivery area, which is an area that they open the door, have boxed, not showing product, comes right in, door shuts behind them in a man trap, so we can't actually open the door from the exterior of the building. There's a man trap, sort of, we call it the secure delivery area. And then once that back door closes, we can then open the next one for safety in case. We've never had an issue, but we run it as a man trap in case there ever were an issue of someone trying to divert product as a delivery comes. But delivery times are fully random. We don't even know. They call us 15 minutes and then 5 minutes before they arrive, and we just know the day they're coming.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why public needs to be around the back of the building?
Public?
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of maybe putting some
Never.
signs up and say, you know,
No,
employees
never.
only or something along
Yeah,
those
so
lines.
every
That would help with security too.
Sure, and every single door into the facility, every single door that would be for employees only has a specific sign, employees only. Every door is, I didn't note this in the security, but it's in the security plan. Every door into the facility is only accessible via badge from an employee or buzzed in from an employee inside, allowing someone from the public outside. But all of the part, if you switch Sheldon, sorry. Good, Sheldon's a good Vanna White. So the public, people over 21, are only allowed in, so yes, there and forward, not including the secure staff and IT. So where it says sales in front of the registers and where it says customer check-in, and then that bathroom to the left, that's the only places where a non-employee is allowed in the facility. And then we have state-required signs at every other door area showing that that's the case, as well as badge access into each of those various parts of the facility. So I think that may have answered it in more detail, but
Yeah, all I was gonna say is that, you know, I don't see any reason why the public should be, should use anything other than that front parking.
Absolutely not. And in other locations, what we've told our staff to do is sort of park in any area that is like even getting close to an area that's employee only. So we try and keep the public sort of as close to the entrance within their parking as we possibly can. And then again, the entire grounds are under 24/7 surveillance and stored for 90 days on our hard drives.
Okay, you guys good? Amy, you got anything else to bring on?
Nothing at this point. Happy to answer any other
Good
questions
enough.
or anything else, but
We're
otherwise
certainly
we
gonna
would
keep
plan
this
to
open, and
see.
then we'll go to the public,
Yep.
and we'll bring that in, and then we'll talk about this in deliberation. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, hold on a second. Are you intending to deliberate tonight then?
I intend to talk about this, we're gonna deliberate, we're gonna talk about this particular item in deliberation.
Okay.
As far as a continuous goes, or whatever they might wanna do.
I think you need to, if you're gonna deliberate, you need to close it now and thereby deny her request for continuing to next month. As far as, if you wanna do that, that's your prerogative, whatever you like to
Yeah,
do.
I want to take, I want to get the public in on this, Alan, before I do anything.
Okay,
Yeah. that's what I
fair
want.
enough.
Thank you.
Okay. Before I do open this up to the public, do we have anyone here that does want to speak in respect to this? Okay, how many is that? By a show of hands, how many want to speak?
Can't hear you. What did you ask?
By a show of hands, how many want to speak? Everybody, okay. All right, so we're gonna give 5 minutes to every speaker. I can't give you any more, I really shouldn't give you that because we don't have the time. But in any event, we'll try that and see how that goes.
Can I just ask a question first? If you open it up to the public today and they continue it, are you able to speak again next time or just close?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I'd like, anyone would like to speak in favor of this application? Step forward. Miss?
Apology, I have a retainer, it makes it.
Hold on one second, I'm sorry. Can you pick up the microphone on the table in front and speak into that? And if you could give your name
Yeah,
and spell it.
Yeah.
no, I was, everybody.
It's only for the.
It does say amplify it
Oh.
chords.
Oh, okay, apologies to those at home that I like tapped.
Yeah, just speak a little louder, Miss Nick.
Yeah, no, I did this and I go
Good,
back and
good,
folks at
good.
home. Also, apologies before, I wear a retainer and it's hard to speak sometimes. Alex Johnson, 50 Fallon Drive. I just wanted to say that I am very much in support of dispensary coming to North Haven. I did see that there's a motion to prevent marijuana dispensaries in North Haven. I am absolutely 100% opposed to that. It is legal in Connecticut. I do think it is a future, not only a future for Connecticut, but I also believe that it's a business opportunity for North Haven and something we really need to consider. I don't want to see this town left in the past, and I think we really need to be moving forward on an economic level, on a cultural level as well, and as well as the fact that a lot of people are moving here to Connecticut from New York. There's a lot of movement going down in Yale and a lot of businesses, and people are moving here. And my generation of people were 30 years old, but thanks if you thought I was younger. That was me trying to make it be a little bit later, but I guess I'm a bad comic. This is something that's attractive to us. This is something that a lot of my generation is moving away from liquor stores and are moving more towards marijuana. And moving to a town that has a marijuana dispensary is becoming a very attractive thing. And we want to see constant growth in North Haven. We want to see constant growth of influx of new families coming in as older families are retiring and moving on to either Florida or whatever beautiful warm places that it's not going to be next month. I'm really not winning at comedy today, but that's okay. But honestly, I think this is something that we really need to focus on, that this is the future, that we really do need to keep this going. I just don't want to see us be that one town that's left in the past while places like Camden and New Haven are gaining big business from marijuana dispensaries. And I just wanted to make my, basically wanted to say that I do want to see this happen. I know a lot of the arguments against this are, what if people drive off? What if this, we, as the lawyer, I believe, the one with the beautiful yellow dress, pointed out a lot of the arguments. The same thing could be said about the liquor store. It's literally, 100 feet more away from the distance. The same arguments could be said about the liquor store. It hasn't happened at the liquor store. We're still okay. I don't see it happening either at the marijuana dispensary. So any arguments that we have against marijuana dispensary, then the same thing needs to be said about the liquor store. If the marijuana dispensary can't be there, then the liquor store shouldn't be there. that's just my argument towards that. And in terms of people saying about the smell, I literally took the bus last week again, so unfortunately it was not Fine Federal, it was Rides Dispensary. I've been there 100 times, unless you literally walk into the double doors, you never smell it. I took the bus, it was about where the lovely gentleman in the navy shirt is. The door was about where the lovely chairman is right there. You can't smell anything. If you've been to them a bunch of times, you really cannot smell anything unless you walk inside. So I just wanted to make that put out there, and I really would love to see that the Planning and Zoning Committee make sure that, even if this is not possible because of schools, but we do make sure that we do continue towards the future and allow that we have marijuana dispensaries here in North Haven.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, sir?
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? Zachary Casimir, grew up on Sentinel Hill, been here once before. Young gentleman, Chairman, thank you for being here about today. Generally,
Can you just spell your last name? I'm sorry.
Yes, sorry, Kastenhuber. So generally, pro-business, pro-economic advancement in my town, anything, generally, unless there's, a strong reason as to why not to allow for economic advancement in the town of North Haven, then usually I think it's a good idea to enable that. So I was actually curious to learn more about what the expected tax revenues would be for the town. If I may address the applicants, if you guys have those projections.
I know he said 3% goes to the town.
3%,
Well,
yeah.
they can
Generally,
respond later.
They can respond later.
okay, yeah, generally, right now in Connecticut, dispensary sales somewhat are declining and there's more saturation in other towns and, there's a lot of dispensaries popping up. So, I think it's interesting to know what exactly the team is proposing to, in terms of, revenues for the town, and that should be a major consideration for the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Yes?
My name is April Wisniewski.
Speak up a little bit, sir.
My name is April Wisniewski, last name Wisneski. I'm opposed to this dispensary. I was raised on a drum.
This is in favor.
Oh, in favor?
Yeah. You'll get your turn in a minute, okay?
Oh.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Anyone else?
Anyone else like to speak in favor?
Thanks.
Anyone in favor? Okay. Okay. And now we're on this issue. Now you're right. I'm sorry.
All right, again, my name is April Wisneski, Wisneski. When I was a child, I grew up on the DARE education program, which is Drug Abuse Resistance Education. Marijuana is considered a drug, which defined by DARE is any substance other than food and liquid that affects the way the mind and body work. So, therefore, marijuana is definitely a drug. And from that program, I also learned that marijuana is the gateway drug. I don't know if any of this is relevant anymore, but I don't see why it wouldn't be. I drive a school bus and I work for the North Haven Public Schools. Federally, marijuana is still illegal. Any drug test that you come back and test positive for, you're automatically fired. I'm opposed to this dispensary because there's been instances where, people may, hold on a second. Marijuana inhibits judgment. Impaired judgment causes bad decisions. And there's been instances on videos and everything where kids get a hold of this marijuana and they bring it to school. There was an incident at Bishop Woods, which is 7 minutes outside the Montevideo district. and there was an incident where a student brought drugs to school, maybe unaware of what it was, but it was edibles. And these edibles were given to other students, probably unbeknownst to the student that brought it in, but shared with his friends. I don't want something like that to happen here in North Haven. It can happen anywhere, but a dispensary is brought here would more enable that situation to happen. And I don't want things like that to happen here. I don't want this town, okay. So if the revenue that we generate from this dispensary, I think a lot of it would be appropriated or allocated to the police and fire departments. All the revenue that's generated from this. Because when we are impaired judgmentally by drugs, bad things happen. And then more police and more fire and first responders would be needed. And we have a methadone clinic here on State Street. That's to help those who are addicted to get off of drugs. I believe that we don't need to be bringing in a dispensary. I believe we need to be bringing in morals and values.
Okay, thank you very much.
Could you give us your address, please? I don't think we got that.
63 Spring Road.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else like to speak?
Ken Derrico, D-E-R-R-I-C-O. My address is 4 Woodside Drive. I'm ground zero to this establishment. It is directly in my backyard, on the other side of the fence. I would just like to state some facts on that property. In the past 2 or 3 years, I've had to call the North Haven Police Department because of individuals in the back doing whatever, making noise. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, it was broken into the back door. I haven't called the police. There's been homeless people in the back. The trees are definitely a concern. I was living at my property when those trees were taken down. They did a horrible job. They only took about a third of the trees down. They were mature trees. The rest of the mature trees are up. So there's a big gap from my backyard. I can see Washington Avenue. There was a fire at this establishment maybe a year or so ago. The turn radius in the back, I don't know if these folks have discussed that, but a truck is not going to make that turn very easily, if at all. I don't know what hours the deliveries would be, which would be disruptive to my privacy. Pollution, noise pollution, pollution from the vehicles, the loading, unloading, don't know how loud that's going to be. Could be disrupted. My main concern with this whole thing, I have nothing against anybody that uses this product. I have no judgment. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not concerned about crime. I'm not concerned about traffic. I'm just, the question that I keep arriving at is why are we so focused on doing this at a location that borders residential property versus all the other potential opportunities out there in North Haven. There's a lot of empty real estate in North Haven, just crying for businesses. So why are we opening this establishment, which there's clearly opposition to, bordering residences? There's a preschool right down the street. There's a church right down the street. There's a playground right down the street. All of these are cited in the Connecticut statutes that local jurisdictions have the right to deny this sort of application. Again, I'm not against any people that would patronize this sort of establishment, but I just think there's a better place for it in North Haven, if it's going to be in North Haven. And like I said, nobody knows that building like I do, because I look at it every single day out my back window. And my property line, their property line are separated by a chain link fence. It's gonna be in my face constantly.
Okay, sir.
That's all.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
No. Anyone else like to speak? I'm second, Mary.
Steve, did you want to talk?
I think I'm gonna wait till next, in October.
Okay.
I'm good though.
Okay, Mary, you wanna come up? Sure.
Should I just leave that there? Or can I use it? Mary White, Summer Lane. So I have to speak for two people who are not here first. So Joe DiMartino from Papa Lane. He is against this adult use recreational cannabis retailer. He says there are several cannabis facilities in the area. The town of North Haven can do without this adult use recreational cannabis retailer. Please vote no. And Nydia DiMartino, also of Papa Lane. She is against this adult use recreational cannabis retailer, and she wants to protect the public and children from harm, and she wants to protect the character of the town. Please vote no. Okay. Now me, Mary White, Summer Lane. I am also against this cannabis retailer. It is out of character with the town and businesses near 104 Washington Avenue, which is the center of town. Got the post office, town green, restaurants, banks, grocery store, card store, jewelry, tire store, and is less than 735 feet from businesses, daycare, and there's a music school. No, I haven't heard anybody talk about School of Rock, which is right in front of KinderCare. And this is, gotta be 700 or so feet from this. So I spoke with the owner, and they deal with children and adolescents, middle school, high schoolers. Let's see, this is not the economic retail development direction of the town, so I'm against this. Most of all because it harms the public health, children and adolescents. Let's see, so while society may have forgotten the impact that weed can have on the brain, science has not. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be pulling statements from studies, and you can have those studies, copies of the studies at the end. So Tom will be talking about children overdosing on cannabis edibles. Okay. Cannabis use impairs several areas of cognition, including problems concentrating and difficulties remembering and learning, which may have considerable impact on users' daily lives, such as reduced educational attainment for adolescents and poor cognition in adulthood, and in adults, poor work performance and impaired dangerous driving. THC, the main psychoactive compound in cannabis, has a negative impact on the brain's higher levels of thinking. Those executive functions include the ability to make decisions, remember important data, plan, organize, and solve problems, as well as control emotions and behavior. Cannabinoids impair all stages of memory, including encoding, consolidation, and retrieval. States that have legalized medical and recreational marijuana have an increase in cannabis use disorder and have an increase in dabbing, vaping, weed use. The vapor produced by butane hash oil, a cannabis extract, has 3 to 5 times more THC than the plant itself, and dabbing, a form of vaporization, produces toxins like benzene, a known carcinogen. 1 in 3 grade 12 students reported vaping weed their preferred method of getting their THC high. Teens are suffering from a deadly lung disease called EVALI due to vaping weed. 84% of the EVALI cases were associated with cannabis-containing products. Okay, and I want to draw your attention to the board over here. So I know it's hard to see, but this is an ad in the New Haven Register
that I saw in April 2022, and it's from the American Lung Association. And what it says over here, it says, "My kid would never vape." So you see a mom with smoke around her face. And like I said, it says, "My kid would never vape." Then it says, "More than 5 million American kids vape," which means they're being set up for a lifetime of addiction. Good students, athletes, kids who never smoke regular cigarettes, all types of kids, maybe even yours. Talk to your kid about vaping. Start by getting the facts at talkaboutvaping.org, and at the bottom it says, "Get your head out of the cloud." The North Haven Local Prevention Council, LPC, is gathering data specific.
I'm sorry. Time is up, Mayor.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to mention like 3 more things, if that's okay. I'm also representing our son James White, and so he said I could have his 5 minutes, but I'm not going to need the 5 minutes. So I just wanted to just give that this is important about the council is providing, they're trying to get data for the vaping problem in North Haven. They're having a suggestion box at the North Haven Center, Counseling Center, where they're asking people to fill out questionnaires. Anyway, the teen brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. Consuming 1 or 2 joints by the age of 14 causes brain damage in teens. 1 in 6 teens who use marijuana regularly become addicted, and that's all. So
Okay, thank you, Mary. Thank you.
please vote no on this.
Okay.
Would you like copies of the studies?
It's okay, we can get it later. You can go there, Mary.
If you have one copy, do you have one copy?
One for Alan.
I have 10.
Okay.
If I can just have one, we'll mark it Exhibit 2. Thank you.
She would like one.
Anyone else want to speak? Wait a minute, no? Lana? Go ahead.
I think time is.
Yes, she's going to take it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lana Claire Ives. I reside at 371 Mansfield Road, 369 Mansfield Road, 367 Mansfield Road, and 2605 Ridge Road in North Haven. I was a little confused about, this is the continuation, this is the public hearing, but it's going to be continued or it's not going to be continued?
We don't know yet.
You don't know. So I thought, well, I may as well come up here and speak, because if it's not going to be continued, then I won't have my time. But I can also speak next time, or is the 5-minute limit?
You can speak next time, but don't do the same.
Okay, no, I won't do the same. Okay. First off, sir, I feel bad for you living next to that. That's.
You had talked to Trustee.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
Can you talk to us?
Yes, I feel bad for this gentleman who would have to live next to something like that. It's because there's people coming and going. You know, there seems to be a high level of security needed for all of this product and how it's going to be transported in and out. You know, it just, they can't even determine the time of day it's going to come or what have you. So that's all kind of concerning. If I was a resident living kind of in the back of that, I know the residents on that particular area do live next to commercial, but having something like that next to where someone's going to live seems a bit much for a resident to be able to handle. I understand that, I'm not sure how this applicant actually came into North Haven, but it seems like there are a lot of these places popping up, and other towns which are nearby have something like that. I don't see why North Haven would need to have something. There are other places, if people would need to purchase something like that, that they would be able to do that. My concern too is from an economic standpoint. The federal government has not given their consent to legalization of this product. So, from an economic standpoint, if someone opens a business selling that, and the federal government determines that they want to close that, I'm not really sure where that leaves everyone else, as far as who's gonna owe this or that, or how long that's gonna take, or any monies that that's gonna tie up. And I foresee that that could be a possibility, even though Connecticut has, Governor Lamont, I believe, had passed this, but it's still not legal on a federal level. So my concerns would be that something could happen in the near future, especially because we are having an election coming up, and we're really not sure what's going to happen here. So I think that it's prudent to kind of hold off on something like this, and I just don't fit. I think it doesn't fit the character of the town of North Haven, and I'll tell you why. You got a place that has methadone, okay, down on State Street. You got buses coming down from Waterbury, you got buses coming in from New Haven, you got buses coming in from the shoreline, and wherever else they're coming from. And they're coming down to get methadone because we have an opioid crisis in our state. We have a huge opioid crisis in our state. You can go online, do all the research that you want. Marijuana is a gateway drug to any other use. And it starts with the teens. And now there's this vaping thing going on, okay? Where, is it in the vapes? Are young kids getting a hold of vaping and that's how they're getting into marijuana use? Are they vaping it? I don't know. I think it's a good question. I think it's a public health and safety question to address that. I just don't see how it fits the plan of development for North Haven to be saying, let's provide methadone to people so they can get off drugs. But let's go get them on drugs by selling drugs down the street where it's legal. That's diabolical to me. It doesn't make any sense. I'm glad to see that there's an amendment on the agenda, and if that gets brought up tonight, I would like to speak about that. I think it's important that this type of business does not ever be allowed to be coming to the town of North Haven. That's it. The last thing I'm going to end with is, I just had a, there is something called, sorry guys. It's the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. And on there, you can find tips for teens that talk all about marijuana use. And so if anyone's listening to this at home, maybe you are, I'm not sure, but you can go and find out all the facts about how marijuana affects teens and how this leads to addiction in later in life. So the last thing I'm going to leave with is, as a practicing Catholic and someone who is involved in youth ministry, I have to quote something that Pope Francis has said. This appeared in an article in Time magazine. Pope for legal dope, still no.
No,
All right?
thank you.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lon.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now, anyone else like to speak that have not spoken? Go ahead, Mr. Amos. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lou Gerlone, G-H-E-R-L-O-N-E. My address is 16 George Street. I got a letter because I'm within 100 feet of the proposed building. And I am definitely against it. I think the building should be used for something other than what they're intending. My personal opinion, I don't even think that the building is adequate for parking. It's, you know, they've talked about employees coming to the building, well, where are they gonna park? Obviously, they're gonna bring their cars in, they're gonna park in the parking lot, so now you're taking up space. As far as the turnaround in the back, Ken Derico mentioned that it's a tight turn, and it is a tight turn, because the corner of it reaches my property, and we've actually seen trucks get stuck back there trying to make the turn. How they can make that wider, I don't see it happening. There's a lot of things that I wanted to say. I just don't want to keep repeating it because you've heard it from quite a few people already. I'm agreeing with them, except for one person that came up and said that they don't want to see North Haven not go forward. Well, I've been in this town since 1955, and believe me, this town is definitely going forward. And it's been going forward in the right direction. Doing something like this and approving it, as far as I'm concerned, is the wrong direction. We came across something not too long ago with the Deloro complex. And they went rounds, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that was over a bookstore. You know, how you put a label on the building is something else. Paul Mitchell, it is a school. It's been called a school ever since I've known it. Hard Rock, School of Hard Rock. You have a kindergarten, pre-kindergarten school. I don't know their address, but they're on the back church road there. There's a park not too far away. People have already stated this. So that's my opinion, and if it comes to a vote, I really believe North Haven should not approve it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Luke, thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak?
Tom.
Tom? No, miss.
Tom White, Summer Lane. I am against this adult use recreational cannabis retailer because it is harmful to the public's health, particularly our children, and because all the residents of the town do not financially benefit from the 3% municipal sales tax revenue. More young children are getting sick from inadvertently eating marijuana edibles, according to a study published January 2023 in the Journal of Pediatrics. Calls to poison control centers about kids 5 and under consuming edibles containing THC rose from 207 in 2017 to 3,054 in 2021, a 1,375% increase according to the study. Nearly all the children, about 97%, found the edibles at home. The findings were based on more than 7,000 pediatric cases reported to the National Poison Data System, a database that tracks reports of poisonings. Dr. Kevin Osterholt, the medical director of the Poison Control Center, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, said emergency physicians all across the country have been recognizing what they believe to be a sharp increase in both young children and teenagers showing up at emergency departments for THC intoxication. A typical edible can contain around 100 milligrams, he said, but even adults often start with about 1/10 of that. But some recreational marijuana products can contain as much as 500 milligrams of THC, he added. Research found incidents of children who overdosed on marijuana edibles. There are examples from 2022, 23, and 24. I'm going to read 6 of them to you. Akron, Ohio, September 7, 2022, 8 middle school students sickened by eating marijuana edibles, candy gummies, with some going to the hospital. Los Angeles, California, May 13, 24, 8 high school students got acutely ill by ingesting marijuana edibles during a field trip and were transported to the hospital. Concord, North Carolina, December 6, 23, 7 middle school students got sick after eating a marijuana edible Rice Krispie treat, and 7 were taken to Atrium Health Care. Pontiac, Michigan, May 17, 24, 2 middle school students were transported to the hospital after ingesting marijuana edibles. New Haven, Connecticut, January 14, 22, 5 students at Bishop Woods Magnet School started vomiting after ingesting marijuana edible chocolate candy. Los Angeles, California, December 1st, 22, 10 middle school students overdosed on cannabis edibles with at least 6 taken to the hospital. Regarding the 3% municipal sales tax revenue from recreational cannabis sales, it is not that much and it's not going to benefit. These are the 6 reasons, there are only 6 purposes for which 3% municipal recreational cannabis sales tax revenue can be used. Number 1 is streetscape improvements and other neighborhood developments where the cannabis retailer, hybrid retailer, or microcultivator is located. Number 2, education programs or youth employment and training programs in the municipality. Number 3, services for individuals living in the municipality who were released from the Department of Corrections, custody, probation, or parole. Number 4, mental health or addiction services. Number 5, youth services groups or juvenile review boards. And number 6, community civic engagement efforts. Please vote no to protect our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Pon. Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak? Miss, you want to say something else?
Yeah, just really.
2 minutes.
Under a minute, promise.
Okay. 1 minute.
It's just in response to if it's in other towns, why bring it here? If you take the bus like I do, I walked here all the way from Fallon Drive because my car is out. To take the bus to go to a New Haven dispensary, it takes an hour and a half. That's one way. If there's supposedly going to be one in Hamden, that is a 2.5-hour bus ride. If we believe in accessibility, if we believe inclusivity and equity, then it is not a fair argument to say they can go to another town, especially if you work full-time, especially if you have kids. It is very hard. I haven't been able to get blood work done in 2 years because to take something I can get at Walgreens would affect me all day, where an edible only affects me a few hours. But for me to go get an edible all the way in New Haven is an entire day trip on the bus for me, and I can't afford that with work.
Okay, thank you, young lady. Okay. Anyone else like to speak?
One thing, because, just quick. Lana Ives, that's really incorrect information. It doesn't take that long to get to Hamden, and it certainly doesn't take that long to get to New Haven from
You're
North.
done.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anyone else like to speak that haven't spoken?
You gotta just take the New Haven bus all the way down to the green.
Okay. Holy folks, hey.
Ben's going to respond to a couple of the public comments and
Hi.
then we'll
Yeah, go ahead.
continue.
Sure, yeah, Ben Zacks, CACHS, Chief Operating Officer of Fine Federal with an office based in Hartford. I could respond to a lot of the worries with a lot of information and a lot of studies. I don't think that's the point of this, and that's not the role of the zoning board. We're here to follow the law of both Connecticut state law, or RACA, which says to review at the most analogous use, right? As well as with your zoning regulations, or due to a lack thereof, right? The most analogous use, which in whether question if it's a general retailer for a site plan or this, and then the question of the school. There are a couple things on the site though that I would like to respond to. So one is our facilities are incredibly high tech and safe and secure, and the land and site plans and landscaping, which I'm sure we can and will assess, are beautified, right? For issues of problems in the back of the building, which I'm sure the neighbors is a mess to live next to, I totally get that. our intent is to better the site that we're on, right? So not just to simply keep it as is, but that is to fix it up, make it better, make it nice, comply with zoning regulations and site plan regulations and code as such, and to better it. There were a couple of mentions regarding trucks and such. There are no trucks on the facility, just to be clear. Deliveries happen in, like, at the largest, a Sprinter van.
Got a dumpster?
Pardon?
There's a large dumpster
Sure.
right back there.
Sure.
Sorry. And then we'd have a compliant dumpster with the time. There's no product thrown away into our dumpster. The dumpster is simply consumables. We use a local garbage company who picks up on a recurring schedule. We've never had a problem with any overflow or garbage or trash. There's never any cannabis product whatsoever thrown away at the facility. Deliveries happen only during our open and operating hours, of which we've proposed 9 to 8, 10 to 6 probably. 9 to 8 on Monday through Saturday and 10 to 6 on Sundays has been our standard operating hours. The reason for the randomness of time is because you don't want anyone to be able to prepare for time, so it's for safety and compliance. Deliveries in these Sprinter vans, which again are not diesel trucks, they're gas, small Sprinter vans. Some of them actually now for the smaller cultivators are happening in like a 4Runner size SUV, like a Toyota 4Runner. The car is sitting there for like 4 to 6 minutes, just to be very clear. And also one thing to note that is incredibly, incredibly important is we are held to some of the strictest regulations of any cannabis regulation in the country is Connecticut. Our packaging, every product is in child's proof sealed packaging. There is no one under 21 is allowed within the facility. It is incumbent on any adult, one who buys alcohol legally or cannabis legally, which the state has legalized, to keep safekeeping of their product. But our product is forced to go an extra mile with our child-resistant packaging that needs to be able to be closable on each time. There are actually references to products ingested within Connecticut. The specific product on January 14th, 2023, which was actually 2 days, when did we go recreational? January 6th? January, yeah, right before. There were no legal chocolates in Connecticut at that time. So there's a difference between the safe access to legal tested cannabis, which we provide as a service, legal service as voted in by our state legislation, and not on a completely party line vote, just to be very clear, and signed in by the governor, versus a legal product of which stores are being shut down by the police and Department of Consumer Protection, even on intoxicating hemp products that are now very specific. And so I just want to be clear that we comply with those regulations, we comply with the safety and access regulation, because safe access to legal cannabis is very, very, very different than having a legacy market, which is where minor consumption is done, because there has not been data in Connecticut around that. So I did just want to note that, but most importantly was the questions around the site and the back, because that's exactly what we do. We better the community and fix this up. Outside of the question, sorry, just last thing, outside of the one question on whether the vocational school is should be defined as a school or not, there have not been comments outside of some engineering comments and site plan, which we think we can handle, of the compliance against that. Yeah.
There was a question asked, and what are your hours?
Yeah, sorry. The proposed hours
Just get to the question.
Sure.
Respond.
Sure. The proposed hours are 9 to 8 Monday through Saturday and 10 to 6 on Sundays. There was a lot of things said.
Tax revenue.
Tax revenue. So look, everything is a projection. We've projected that this facility will bring in somewhere between, got to do a little bit of math, $150,000 and $300,000 of tax revenue to the town, which the gentleman noted all of the areas it can go: streetscaping, beautification of the local area, police, mental health services, civil services, youth organizations, etc. And and then just one other note that was done is in part of our actual plans, we have to submit a positive impact plan of the local area. And so we partner with local charities, organizations, within the Chamber of Commerce to ensure that we're properly partnering within the philanthropic and business community, of which we've hit our targets. And then the one other one was, sorry. She gets the big bucks to take the notes. I had one more, but in terms of parking, just because of and that was addressed in the traffic study, there are potentially times that are most high volume times. We offer incentives to our employees to either carpool or take public transportation or bike. And so with that, we incentivize them monetarily to be able to use fewer parking spots. But again, in our other facilities in other towns, we know the data of general time that people come, how many employees would be there, how many parking spots, and do feel confident. And we've had other sites, another site here and as well as another state with less parking that we have actually projected to be busier and have not had an issue in terms of traffic with that. So I think I noted all the things that are related to zoning.
Good,
Yeah,
thank you
sure.
very much. Anybody, does any have questions that were not answered here? This is gonna go to,
I just have a quick
step,
question.
no, step forward, sir.
I just have a quick question. Of all your dispensaries in Connecticut, how many, if any, border residences?
How many? So in Stamford, we're right next to a residence. In Norwalk, we're across the street from residences. Not in Manchester, not in Newington. Bristol, there's residences on the backside of the shopping center.
Yep.
Where else are we?
And
So we're talking
Old
like-
Saybrook right next door. Old Saybrook right next door.
Like
You gotta,
Yeah,
You
give me
can't-
the-
you can't get a dialogue like that.
Yeah, sure.
Please answer the question,
Oh.
and then, you know.
Sorry.
What's the protocol again?
You're supposed to ask them what your question is.
My question,
Ask it over.
Yeah, he'll hear it, but go ahead.
my question is, residences that directly abut up to these establishments. I'm talking property lines.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have to state my name for the record for the answer? Okay, we're good. I believe it's 4 of our 7 locations in Bristol, because it's technically a shopping center, so the whole piece is one parcel. So Bristol, Stamford, Norwalk is across the street, so I guess that's technically a butting across a road, and then Old Saybrook, the neighbor is a resident, is across the street and to the side. That was a residence.
Yes.
Yeah, so across the street and to the side, so I think it's 4 of our 7.
So asking you the question, I meant, the question was directly against a property line, not across the
Yeah.
street, not across a shopping center.
I guess he's answering the best of his ability.
I'm answering to the best of my ability
Well,
about
this is a big question, so this is
So-
a big issue.
So I'm answering
I
the,
understand.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
My turn.
He's through with that. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
get
no,
some of this
sure.
stuff there.
I appreciate it. So, I believe, and again, you're the professional here, not me. I'm trying to be, but abutting, right, can be across the street, but 2 specifically touch, and then 4 total either touch or are across the street, and so the closest tax lot would be a residential, and while that's in other towns and we have not had any issues with any other neighbors, we comply with the requirements within the special permit against the most analogous use as a if you're comparing it to a liquor store with residential. So that's the specifics, and then to the answer of the tax line.
Thank you very
I
much.
just have one thing I think it was your question about, you were starting to talk about the dumpster and the truck. You were talking about the truck that empties the dumpster, correct? That's what you wanted to find out?
Oh,
Okay.
so actually,
Or was it you?
sure, in one of our, so it's site specific, so actually in one of our locations, because this isn't like a town garbage truck, depending on the company, we sign the contract to bring in sort of for a specific dumpster pickup rather than the larger truck, so it depends on what's necessary and what's required. Again, I think actually one of the questions from the engineer was around turning radius. I don't know if that connected to the dumpster or not, but that would be assessed by professionals of the garbage company who handle that. I don't know who's the most active garbage company down here. We haven't done anything with contracting there to this.
Okay.
That would be putting the cart before the horse.
Thank you.
Can I ask you one question, and I'll be out of here for the rest of the night, I promise? The ultimate decision on whether or not this establishment is allowed to open, does this lie with the zoning and planning commission?
This lies with us, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. Okay, this was a little tricky. Okay, thank you so much. Now, you wanna act on this now, before we...
Wait a second. So you need to make a decision on whether it's gonna be continued to next month.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So I would say you should discuss it with your commission right here on whether you're gonna grant the continuation of the application. Because they may have some, if you're intending to close it and deliberate tonight, they may have a few more comments for you then, okay? But if you're gonna extend it, then they're just gonna end their...
If you give me an opportunity to talk to the commission, we can get to that point. Brian, what do you think about continuing? You're asking to continue the next month.
Let me ask this question, why would we be continuing?
No, the commission. She's out now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, why are we continuing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Requiring more information about what conversations took place with the town attorney. That's why.
The information, she wants to look at the...
But out of fairness, that would be good to do then.
The legalization of the
Yeah,
school.
out of fairness, yeah, that would be a good thing to do, so she can look at the information.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're in favor of continuing?
Yeah.
Brian, you're in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
Yeah, with that in mind, where you needed more information on how we arrived at everything, just to be fair. Yeah.
Rush?
I think the applicant's entitled to be able to respond to the reasoning, and I also just have to say, when I saw the engineer's notes and there was a note that there was an A2 survey needed, I don't anticipate it's gonna be really different, but it seemed to me that it might be material to the site plan to know if things are maybe a couple feet off. Like, it's better that we know so that we can make a determination, and so I was kind of in the back of my mind the whole time, actually.
Both of those, I think, are valid reasons for us to continue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
Okay, Amy, we will continue the next month.
So if I can just ask you this, can you please put on the record that you're granting the commission an extension to act before they do that?
Yes, I was going to say that I had not done the math, but to the extent, and because I think we needed a short extension to get to today, we will grant the extension to the October 7th?
Yes.
7th, October 7th meeting to allow
Keep
us
the public hearing open.
to keep the
Yes.
public hearing open and allow the next session of the hearing to continue at that meeting.
So are we gonna have an A2 with the site plan?
We have to deal with that.
And in fact, one of the things that we will do in that time is address
I understand.
the engineering comments we got on Friday.
Okay.
Can I say one thing or no?
Say that?
Can I say one thing or no? I invite you all to tour one of our facilities. You're more than welcome to see the way this operates and understand sort of the what is versus the what may be. And so I think you're all over 21 and you can enter our facility with government ID and, you know, invite you and actually ask you to see and ask questions and understand deeper. And we've been in towns where there were a lot of questions, and one of the things that we've seen is, you know, I think online it says there's about 24,000 people. In another town, we had a town very similar and quite a bit, significantly more actually, people against. And then when we opened, we found out that 14% of the town residents had come to purchase. And so, you know, there's a lot of unspoken as well as the few spoken.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you
See you
so
next
much.
month.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you in October.
Thank you all in the audience for being patient. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
10-minute break. Okay. Okay, folks, we're back in session. We are still we're in the public hearing on P24-18. Brian, would you mind reading that in to the record?
Sure, P24-18. Okay, application of North Haven Planning and Zoning Commission applicant, proposed amendment to North Haven zoning regulation to add section 8.12.5 regarding the prohibition of all cannabis establishments uses in districts in the town of North Haven. The proposed amendment is on file with the Land Use Office and in the office of the town clerk.
Okay. Well, it's just, we should just discuss this as we did when we decided to put this in. This is put in by the commission itself as to put a add to our regs, a reg for opposing cannabis distribution in the town. We just heard it. Mark, anything to say about it?
Yeah, I wish we'd done this 2 years ago.
2 years ago, I'm sure. It was talked about then a lot. Okay, Brian, you're feeling the same way?
Yeah, I'll just say, yeah, it's, I do feel the same way. It's overdue.
Okay.
I'm in favor.
So one thing we didn't say is that it's, what this would do is it would prohibit uses except for the delivery or transport of cannabis as provided in general statutes 21A, 422 GB, just so everyone's aware. So that's the proposed amendment, right?
Yes.
So there are these narrow exceptions. So generally speaking, if this is the will of the people of the town, I understand it. I just want to make sure that we as a commission are considering what would be potentially lost if this were passed. And this is the time when we have the discussion, and generally it's the tax revenue and money that could come from this. And so I know that there are limitations on it, but I just want to make sure that we're all thinking about this and that this is something that we've, given due consideration before we move forward with it.
Okay.
I just have, in terms of that statute you were just referring to, what is that narrow exception that?
Well, the language itself has exceptions. So except for delivery or transport of cannabis. So because you can get delivery. So someone from a delivery person from a different town, as I understand it, could bring it to someone's house. So this is primarily, I think, for probably micro cultivators and retailers. But it says all cannabis establishments, though.
Yeah.
And
So it's that use case.
So possibly also, I guess,
I think we did.
delivery and transport couldn't be based in North Haven either.
No.
Though you, as a house, have delivery brought to your house from a different town.
I see.
That's my understanding anyway.
Yep. Any more, Ken?
Nope, I have nothing else.
Any more discussion? No? Okay. And I think, well, we certainly have this, we have this before us, and we have no more discussion on that. What else do we have to take up as far as business goes?
Oh, hold on a second. So this is an amendment, so this requires public comment opportunity.
It will, yeah.
Okay.
Is there anybody here who would like to speak in respect to this? In favor?
Yes, all in favor.
In favor? Yep. Go ahead, Ron.
Lana Claire Ives, 369 Mansfield Road, 371 Mansfield.
Ron, we'll give you 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm just gonna tell you quick. I'm totally in favor of this amendment, and I'm glad for whoever proposed it, and I hope you have many blessings as a result of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ron. I'm sorry for the word. Okay, who would like to speak in favor? Okay, Mary?
Mary White Summer Lane. So on June 22nd, 2021, when RACA was passed, Public Act 21-1, okay, the act does allow for municipalities to adopt regulations. I want to make a note that there is no time limit in the act for municipalities to adopt an amendment. And I believe now is a good time. Because, you may not know this, but the Commissioner of the Department of Consumer Protection removed the cap on populations of 25,000 from one retailer and one cultivator to no cap. Also, I want to draw your attention to your authority, your power for the State of Connecticut Chapter 124 zoning, Section 8-2, Regulations A. Planning and Zoning Commission or Zoning Board of Appeals, whichever commissioner or board the regulations may, notwithstanding any special act to the contrary, designate, subject to the standards set forth in the regulations and to conditions necessary to protect the public health, safety, convenience, and property values. Such regulations shall be designed to lessen congestion in the streets, to secure safety from fire, panic, flood, and other dangers, to promote health and the general welfare. So I ask you to vote in favor of this amendment to protect the public's health and safety and to protect the character of the town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Anyone else like, yes, sir?
Ken Jericho, 4 Woodside Drive, North Haven. I would just urge the commission to look into property values if they're affected. I have done some research, and property values have decreased in close proximity to cannabis dispensaries. So that is something that really hits home, being right on the border of one of these. If this was disclosed in some day that I decide to sell my property, I'm sure that that would have an impact on the potential buyer, especially if there were children involved. So I urge you to look into that, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak? Bob?
Tom White, Summer Lane. I am in favor of this cannabis establishment prohibition amendment. We need this amendment to protect the public health, especially children who are getting a hold of cannabis edibles and overdosing on THC. Recreational cannabis establishments are located in New Haven, Branford, and soon to open in Hamden. Plus, people can order their recreational cannabis or medical cannabis online and have it delivered to their front door. We don't need any brick and mortar, in my opinion, facilities in the town of North Haven to promote the proliferation of narcotics abuse and use. We don't need it here. It's gonna adversely affect our municipality. We're gonna have to increase our protective services, so it's gonna drive the taxes on our homes. It's gonna do all that. The 3% municipal sales tax revenue is not that much. It can only be used for the 6 purposes I outlined previously, which do not benefit all the residents in the town of North Haven. Please vote yes on the amendment to prohibit cannabis establishments in the town of North Haven.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Anyone else? Miss?
I would just like to plead the committee to extend this to next month. I have several people on the phone that thought that this was just about this specific location, and they were okay if it was gonna be a different location, because they didn't wanna bother the neighbors. I know tons of people from the community pages that want dispensaries here, and I feel like it's fair to North Haven to hear other people that did not come tonight because they thought did not know about this proposition of banning all dispensaries, just this location because of the neighbors and wanting to be considerate of them. I think it's not fair to the rest of the town if we don't have this on a bigger forum. And also I think it would be a great idea if we put it in the paper for other people to know, and that it was not just this one specific location, that it would be all locations. Not everybody has the time to go and check all the planning and zoning. I have tons of parents here that want to be on the phone, that are on my phone, but can't because they have sleeping kids. Please, I'm begging the committee, just extend this the same way they extended out the dispensary, to extend it out to next month, to let the greater town be able to speak on this.
You gotta give your
Okay.
name and address.
Alex Johnson, 50 Fallon Drive, apologies.
Okay, thank you. Mary,
Just real quick,
quick comment?
I have to speak for two people who aren't here. Joe DiMartino, Papa Lane, he's in favor of the cannabis establishment prohibition amendment. This will protect the public from harm and protect the character of the town. Please vote yes. Lydia DiMartino, Papa Lane, she's also in favor of this amendment. She also wants to protect the public and the children from harm, and she wants to protect the character of the town. Please vote yes. And regarding notification, I track it, and the town does exactly what it's supposed to do. There's been two legal notices published in the paper, and it's also posted online. So if anybody was really interested in what was happening, they could go read the paper, or they could go online.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, anyone else?
Amy
Amy?
Suchins, just a 135 Broad Street, Milford, Connecticut, 06460. Just a little bit of a different perspective, obviously. I think the one thing that we would know about this ban is with the application pending, if it were approved, whether by you or by a court, what you would do in banning the language would have a use that was a non-conforming use the day it opened. And so my recommendation or suggestion to you, if this is where you're inclined, but given the pending application, would be to modify the regulation to make it very narrowly applicable, so you would not have a situation where if the store were to open, that is a non-conforming use on day one, and that's my only request.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. You know, you're speaking in time or in favor. By the way.
Against. Modified.
Okay, thank you so much, folks. With that, anybody's had to say anything else from the commission? We'll close this one. We'll close this public hearing. That's it on this one. Okay. Now we can move forward to, what do we not address here?
Nothing.
We got it all?
I'll make a motion to go into deliberations then.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, can I get a motion to approve, get a positive referral to the 824? Can I get
I'll make a motion to approve the 824
yeah,
referral.
a positive referral?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
I have a motion for a positive referral, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Kevin seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that takes care of that. Okay, next one. We don't do anything with that. The three, we don't do anything with. Okay, on the planning and zoning, on adding the regulation on 24-18, P24-18 in North Haven, planning and zoning. I get a motion to approve it. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a second and a motion. All in
If
favor?
before you do that, and just mention that if you're gonna approve it, you need to include a recommended effective date, and I have recommended a date of the 23rd of September, so I just want you to be cognizant of that. I'm assuming the motion would include the land use administrator's particular
Okay.
recommendation on it.
The effective the 23rd of September. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Do we not? Okay.
Yes, you do.
And it'll be effective on the 23rd. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Motion carries.
So, I'm sorry, so who made?
Oh,
I did.
Okay.
I did.
okay.
Do we need to make a
Hence
motion?
3-2.
Do we need to do anything about the continuation?
I think you should, if you could oblige me on that and just do the deliberations
Okay.
here on both the site plan and the special permit, could even be one motion.
Brian?
Just Alan, if you check me on my wording, I'd make a motion to continue both the site plan and the special permit.
And a special permit,
For
right.
the fine fettle application to continue to the next month.
Okay. I have a motion and a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so. Let's see where we are now. Continue. Okay, the 24-19, that is the outside storage on powder metal dirt. Get a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Okay, I have a motion to approve,
Second.
and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Who had the second?
Rod.
Rod.
Thank you.
Okay, on the, well, that's all this other stuff here. The motion to approve 117 Washington Avenue with the outside seating.
Well, one thing I'm sorry, on the powdered metal, you have a decision to make on the sidewalks?
With a waiver of the sidewalks, I thought that was in there.
Thank
Waiver
you.
on the sidewalk with 5 dumpsters, by the way. If you want to put that in.
Those are, yeah. Do we need to revoke that, or?
No, it's got to be in there. We talked about that, he agreed to it.
We could just say,
Motion capture that.
in terms of the record, if Ken could just clarify that his motion included a limitation of no more than 5 dumpsters and also a waiver of the sidewalks.
Correct.
That's
that in
correct, yes, that's within my request for approval, including
Yeah,
the 5
yeah.
dumpsters and the waiver of the sidewalk.
Okay.
Thank you.
You seconded it?
I seconded it, and I would second that, yes.
For that. Okay. All in favor of those corrections?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, good. Now, 117 Washington Avenue.
I'll make a motion to approve the outdoor seating of 117 Washington Avenue with the bollards that they showed, that they think Alan and Andy have the drawing. As long as the bollards are there, the seating can be, no
Yes.
bollards, no seating. So I'll
Okay.
make a motion.
I have a motion. I get a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 45 Quinnipiac Avenue. I'm gonna put a hairdresser in there, I guess. He's
On
gonna
the
put a
back, yeah.
handicapped ramp, he's gonna put in that. I put a handicapped ramp. I've got a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the
I'll second
handicap.
it.
Can I get a second?
I second
Ken
it.
Quick.
Okay, Ken seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, no extension there. We got change of use of 101, Quinnipiac Avenue. That is from the vet to an office. Can I have a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motion to approve the change from a vet clinic to an office at 101 Quinnipiac Avenue.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll make a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. That's good. Okay, is there anything else that come before the commission?
Approval of the minutes?
Was there a bond document in here?
Oh, no bonds, Andy. huh?
No.
No, okay.
Anything else to come before the commission?
Just the minutes.
I'm going to do the minutes, but I'm going to do the adjourn. You guys do the minutes of August 5th, 2024. And a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Brian?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
okay, a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the Town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.